God, Emily, so funny to run into you here at the swamp.
Oh my god, how are you doing? Dara.
I'm great. And this is our podcast that we host together. So it's actually not funny that I'm meeting you here at all. This is actually, we planned this. So
Could you believe it?
I tricked all of you. But this is the swamp. The swamp is an acronym.
Stands for some whack-ass movie podcasting.
And my name is Dara.
I'm Emily. If you didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, of this really canned introduction that I'm actually just winging. I'm trying to be relatable. I'm trying to be personable. Is it working? I don't really think so. But I'm really fucking excited to talk this week about Everything Everywhere All at Once. It is the newest A24 movie that we are covering for A24 April. Last week we went all the way back to the beginnings, to the origins, to Spring Breakers, and now we are covering the hottest, the newest, and arguably one of the best A24 movies. I'm so fucking jazzed to talk about this movie. I fucking loved it. But also, if you haven't seen it, this is spoiler full. Like, we're going deep into the plot, the characters, spoilers. So please stop this, return at a later, go see it. Go support this movie. Go support independent films doing the most. Go, if COVID, go stream it once you can stream it. I know you can't stream it now, but I'm sure you'll be able to, like, rent it on Amazon. But if you can, like, we both went to the movie theater at, like, Wednesdays at, like, afternoon, so we'd be the only people there. But, yeah, go see Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then fucking come back. So then, from this point over, it should only be the girlies who've seen the film. Mm-hmm. Or people who don't give a fuck about spoilers, in which case you're a fucking savage.
Yeah, no, this movie, I will say, it was one of those ones I was like, because you talked it up so much because you saw it at South by Southwest, and you had said it was probably one of the best movies you'd seen in a very long time. And I was like, okay, like, and I saw everyone, like, I saw everyone doing their Letterboxd ratings and all their shit. I was like, okay, like, it looks pretty good, but, like, I mean, like, I guess I wasn't, like, super sold on the trailer. I was like, okay, like, multi-universe shit, like, whatever. This was probably the best movie I've seen in years. Like, no, I'm not at all exaggerating. I know that once I can stream this, honestly, I'll probably go back to the theater and see it again. But once I can stream this, I mean, I'm probably just gonna buy it. Because this is one of those ones that I'm going to watch so regularly. Yeah,
as somebody who's seen it twice now, so this will be the last episode, I promise, where I flex that I got to go to South by Southwest and I got to meet the directors of this film. Like, I'm gonna gush about it during this episode, and I promise, moving forward, I'll fucking stop. But I went and I saw it again, and I genuinely liked it as much, if not better, the second time around. And they are so smart with, like, funny little Easter egg foreshadowing moments, and, like, there's just a lot of stuff that I picked up. And also the feeling of, like, knowing when exciting moments are coming and being like, yes, the fanny pack fight scene is coming up. I'm so fucking excited for everyone in this theater to experience that for the first time and, like, get to, I don't know, because I brought Henry, who hadn't seen it, obviously, and, like, knowing when funny stuff was gonna happen and being like, ooh, a good part's coming, like, that was just very fulfilling to me as a second time around watcher. Like you said, I think I'll definitely watch this again. It'll make its way into my rotation. I think every year there's, like, between 1 and 3, like 3 if I'm lucky, 1 realistically, movies that, like, really are like, yes, like for new movies, right? New movies that come out that I see that I'm like, this is like a 5-star film for me. And I think I'm like, damn, I already wasted my 1 this year. Like, I think this is it. Like, I think this is my 1.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I'm not gonna like another movie for another year. Like, truly, I think last year for me it was like Pig was the one that was, like, really, really got me, that I loved.
You did really love that movie. Which, speaking...
But not even comparable to this. Like, this is
which,
perfection.
Quick tangent, though, since you mentioned Pig, one of my favorite things about seeing this movie was, honestly, just being back, because, I mean, I've seen a couple of movies in the theater, like, since everything simmered down, COVID-wise and all that stuff, but seeing the trailers for the new Nick Cage movie about him just being himself, amazing.
He said in an interview that that's the hardest role he's ever had to play, because he's, like, playing a super, like, meta, dramatized version of yourself is the hardest role I've ever taken on. And I'm like, wow, that's a bold take from you, Nick Cage.
Interesting. Like, yeah, like...
I was kind of bummed. My perception of that movie was, like, that it was just gonna be, like, I thought that the trailer revealed too much of the plot, in my opinion. I felt like, I was like, oh, I don't really have to see it now. I'm like, oh, it's like, he's, like, a CIA operative, like, undercover. I'm like, I didn't understand that like, from the original promo materials, I didn't get those plot details, and now that I know them, I'm like, oh, I don't really have to see this.
Yeah.
I probably still will, though, because I love Nicolas
Exactly.
Cage,
Like that, and I texted you when I was watching it, but the trailer for Marcel the Shell with Shoes On played, and I just know that when I watch that, I'm going to bawl for the entire, hour, 30 minutes of it.
I sobbed. I was in the same room. So this is another one. I got to see 3 A24 films before they came out, which made me feel like a fucking baller. I got to see Everything Everywhere all at once. I got to see Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and I got to see Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I really liked.
To see that. I'm so jealous.
So I really liked all 3 of them, all for very different reasons. But Marcel, I literally sobbed. My makeup was streaming down my face afterwards. Like, I had a weird day. I went to an Alt J concert after I saw Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and literally I was trying to play off my makeup like a smudgy, smoky eye, because I was like going from location to and Jenny Slate was in the room.
No!
I was I'm screaming, I bumped into her, on my way to the bathroom. I was like, oh, sorry. And I was like, oh, that's Jenny Slate. I was like, oh my god. I'm like, that's Marcel. You're Marcel the Shell.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no. I felt overwhelmed just watching the trailers. And they played Phil Collins in the back of it. It's just gonna be...
It was so touching. It's so heartwarming.
I'm gonna be reduced to a puddle. But yeah, no. Also, speaking of Jenny Slate, though, she was one of my jump scares for this movie. I was shocked.
So not to get to our jump scares, but Harry Shum Jr.
Two Glee.
Two Glees in 2 weeks in a row. Last week, Brittany from Glee was our jump scare, and this week it's totally Harry Shum Jr. who plays, what's his name, Mike? From Glee, Mike and Glee, and I was just like, what? I'm like, what is the coincidence that this would happen 2 weeks in a row?
Oh my goodness. I loved it, though.
I'm obsessed.
He was perfectly cast, because he had to be very physical in this role.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to. But if we can, should we give a recap? Because this is...
it's a lot.
It can be done. We can give a recap. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be messy.
This movie's messy in the best way, though. It's so maximalist. That's the only word I can think of to accurately describe it, is just from corner to corner of every frame is the most happening. Mm-hmm. There's never visually, mentally, I'm overstimulated at every second of this whole film.
And you know what?
And I love it.
Exactly. Sometimes that's exactly what I want. I don't want room for my brain to think about anything else for another second. Only this.
But so it's basically about this woman named Evelyn, who's played by Michelle Yeoh, who this is the performance of a lifetime. Mm-hmm. This is the perfect casting. I want her to fucking sweep every award show for this, and if they don't, I'm gonna be so deeply upset. Mm-hmm. She deserves every fucking award. She absolutely, all the performances I think are really amazing and stunning in this movie. And all have their merits, but her as this leading lady character is something that I don't think we get to see that level of acting performance very often, and to experience it especially in a theater is just amazing as a person who deeply loves movies. But so she plays this woman named Evelyn who is filing her taxes. They own a laundromat with her husband Waymond. And they have a daughter named Joy, who is a lesbian, and who's kind of she's come out to them, but they are still kind of having trouble accepting it culturally, especially with their grandpa, where there's a language barrier difference. So there's kind of some awkward tension between the daughter, Joy, and her parents, because they're not entirely accepting, but they still obviously love her very much, but it's just kind of a generational tension difference between them. But basically, they're getting audited because they're having tax problems as small business owners, and their fucking IRS. Is that IRS? Their fucking IRS employee is Jamie Lee Curtis, who also is just fucking so funny. Her name in this movie is Deirdre Beaudeirdre. That's her full name. When I'm looking at IMDb, her name is Deirdre Beaudeirdre. What the fuck? But she plays
that?
this. It's this ridiculous IRS agent. And basically the husband Waymond, he code switches over to be a different version of himself, and he tells Evelyn, he's like, I'm from another dimension, and I'm here to warn you that, like, someone is coming to kill you and your family, and you are the only one who can stop them. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And basically, he explains that there are these, like, multiverses. Yeah, like, multiverses of your life where you've made every decision you make branches off a new universe, and you can jump between them if you, like, use this special sort of skill technology that they've developed in the Alphaverse, which is where he's from. And there's this omnipresent, all-powerful being named Jobu Tabaki who is trying to basically destroy everything just for the sake of destruction. And they're trying to find the one Evelyn who can kind of go against Jobu, and that he thinks that this one's it. So he teaches her how to, like, verse jump, which is when you, like, do a weird action that makes an algorithm. So you have to do something weird, like lick your foot, or, like, eat your earring, or, like, something weird, and then you can verse jump and you can access the skills of yourself in a different life. So basically this movie is this Evelyn character gets to kind of take the skills from her other life where she's, like, a karate master, or one where she has hot dogs for fingers, or what, like, but basically just getting all these skills so that she can fight these people who are all coming to hurt her and her family. And basically throughout the film, which mostly takes place in the IRS building, which is
wonderful.
But she's, like, fighting all these people, but then she kind of learns through interacting with Jobu, who's actually her daughter, Joy, from another universe. So she has to fight her daughter. Basically, it's just kind of all about, like, accepting that maybe nothing really matters at all, and you should still just appreciate your life, even if things aren't perfect. And it gets really emotional, but people are, like, they're, like, getting sucked into a time hole that is an everything bagel. So it's, like, really stupid. It's, like, stupid and hilarious while, like, dealing with the most heavy emotional issues. It's insane. But that's like a messy recap, but that's about as good as I can do.
Yeah, no, that's the perfect way to describe it, is that it's so silly and stupid, but at the same time, I think I fully just cried for the last 30 minutes of this movie. Like, it's like, once it starts to get into, like, the whole thing with, like, Evelyn and her husband, Waymond, sort of, like, her being, like, oh, my life would have been better without you, sort of thing, and
oh my god.
Him just going and being like, no, it's not even that he was like, no, that's not true, but it's like a whole big back and forth, and it's like, you really see that they do love each other and all that shit, and that's probably what, like, 40 minutes left of the movie, and I could not stop crying after that.
I cried both times I saw it as well. I'm not a huge crier. I'm not a huge movie crier.
This one got me, dude.
But this movie, it tackles some really, like, deep issues, and also stuff about, like, generational trauma and, like, having immigrant parents, which is nothing I've even come close to experiencing. But this movie does such a good job of, like, tapping into that specific kind of, like, family issue that I was like, oh my god, like, I feel it. This is nothing I've ever come close to dealing with, and I felt it. So, like, really powerful filmmaking, but also just so silly at the same time. It's like,
I was trying not to heavy sob at two rocks falling over the cliff after each other, and one has googly eyes on it. I was like both hands clamped over my mouth in the theater, and there's just rocks, like, having a conversation.
But so the directors of this film, they're called Daniels. They're two guys named Daniel, and they did Swiss Army Man, which we were actually going to cover, but then we kind of hard pivoted. We decided to cover this new one instead, because we had a couple people be like, you guys should cover new movies, because a while back we were like, oh, maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. People were like, no, I think that all the people who, or most of the people who listen to this are, like, kind of like us in the way that they kind of keep up with new stuff. So, like, it will not be surprising to me if a lot of you have already seen this movie or are intending to see this movie soon. Because our worry was like, oh, we don't want to cover new stuff because no one's seen it. But I'm like, I don't know. The girlies who listen to The Swamp, I think they're out there going to the movies. So
our little cinephiles. I know you're on Letterboxd. I know you follow me.
But Daniels, the directors Daniels, they also did Swiss Army Man, and I think you can see a lot of really, like, similarities, dealing with, like existential dread, and then, like, a farting corpse.
Literally. Because I don't know about you, but you watched Swiss Army Man. We were, like, fully, like, ready to record. We both watched it, and then we were like, maybe not.
What if we do? little something else. But yeah, it's just like you're like, oh my god, you're dealing with like these like big issues of like what it means to be a person, and then it's like Jamie Lee Curtis with hot dog fingers, like playing the piano with her toes, like the next scene, and I'm like, I'm laughing, I'm crying, I'm laughing, I'm crying.
See, here's the thing that I need the spin-off of the universe where it's just Jamie Lee Curtis and Michelle Yeoh in a lesbian relationship with hot dogs in her fingers. Because that was probably, like, I couldn't even say, like, what my favorite universe is, but that's, like, a hard, like, that she's up there. Because that was just so funny and so silly. And also, who actually trained to play the piano with their toes to get that shot?
To do that scene! Because
in my head,
even if those were not the right notes, like, still, it's dexterity. Like, that is very impressive.
In my head, Jamie Lee committed so hard that she did it herself. That's my truth.
I love her commitment to being so insanely goofy with this role. Because, I mean, everyone's commitment to being so goofy, but her character especially, like, with that haircut and just being kind of, like, dumpy, but then being like, oh, now I'm a pro wrestler, and like, oh, no, I have hot dog fingers. Like, her character was definitely a big comic relief in a lot of moments. And I'm like, damn, Jamie Lee is going balls to the wall, just like, willing to look fucking stupid.
She put her whole pussy into it. For sure. Can we talk?
Her whole hot dog pussy.
Can we talk, though? Because both of us here are big fans of Chris Fleming on this podcast, and I would hope to God that anyone listening to this knows and loves him as well. But I did, because before I saw this movie, I saw he posted an article that he got interviewed by someone, I'm not sure who exactly or for what media outlet, but they were just talking about how Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Deirdre,
Sick Jan,
was just basically like not a ripoff, but based off of, like, his character, Sick Jan. Because it was...
I'll have to... So, anyone who doesn't know specifically what we're referencing to, this comedian Chris Fleming, go to YouTube, and I think if you just type in Chris Fleming Sick Jan, or just Sick Jan, you'll get the video. It's just about somebody who... It's about your tax agent who, like, is always sick. And it's like a song, and it's so funny. We saw Chris Fleming live when this, like, first was coming out, and I also remember my makeup being gone by the end of that show, because I was crying, laughing so hard about Sick Jan. But yeah, the Jamie Lee Curtis character in this is eerily similar to Sick Jan, so please go watch that Sick Jan video. Maybe I'll link it in the description. It's so fucking funny.
The article itself, too, is so good, too, because, like, Chris hadn't seen the movie or anything like that, and so you go, and he's, like, hearing bits and pieces of it, and, like, more and more of it is lining up. Like, I remember, like, there was one part of it, because like, Jan was, like, fully, like, a woman. Like, this isn't, like, just some character he made up. This was based off of a woman that actually did his taxes. And he was like, yeah, like, I don't know if I conveyed this, but Jan is, like, eerily strong. Like, fucked up strong. Like, could box you, like, strong. And they were like, oh my god, Chris, I have to tell you something. Jamie Lee Curtis has crazy fight scenes. These are some of the best fight scenes I've seen in a movie in so long. Fuck a Marvel movie, I don't give a shit. Fuck your shit. This movie is insane.
I'm so ready to get into this conversation because, like, this movie is the shining pillar of an example that you do not need an insane CGI budget. You do not need to put all of your actors in full mocap suits and have them in a green screen room to do fucking fight scenes. Not everyone needs... This movie had a $25 million budget, which is not a lot. Like, comparatively, like, Marvel movies get hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in budget. And these fight scenes were hundreds of times more entertaining, interesting to watch than any standard action movie I've ever seen. The fanny pack fight scene, I think, is, like, my favorite fight scene I've ever seen in a fucking movie. When he grabs the fish tank gravel and puts it in the fanny pack.
Genius. Absolutely genius.
Literally... literally amazing. But so like I've said, I got to go to South by Southwest, which is this like big conference, and they do like film premieres and also like concerts, and it's a big tech conference. But I did an unpaid internship, so I got to go, which is like paid for by, I got to go to this thing, which is honestly, it was worth it. But unpaid labor is fucked up. Nobody should do unpaid internships. But in a roundabout way, I got paid because I got to see this fucking movie live with all the stars in the room, and then I got to go to a Q&A, like a small talk with the 2 directors and then 3 of the producers on this movie, but people who are like actually there working in production, not like people who just like put their name as executive producer credits, because like that's totally a thing. People be like, oh, I donated a bunch of like money for this film, so I get a producer credit. Like these were like people actually like working. I don't know, but so it was like probably like less than 40 people in a little room, and we all sat and we like talked with the directors, and it was just so fucking cool to hear them talk about not having a huge budget and doing problem solving to try to make a movie this big in scale. And they were like, yeah, like we didn't have a ton of like fight coordinator people, so we like found some kids on YouTube from Orange County, so like a group of kids who do parkour, and we invited them to like come down and help us with the fight scenes, and they were so down. And like that's the fucking way you do it, because like when you have to be resourceful, the end product ends up being so much better, because it's like an amalgamation of smart people with good ideas, rather than like, oh, we have $10 billion, so we're just gonna, hire robots and CGI professionals to, like, if anyone has seen the clips from the new Spider-Man movies where they literally CG in like parts of buildings and like
so
background characters, like so unnecessary. Or like, there was this one thing I saw that it was the 3 Spider-Mans, and then the background moves, but they don't move, so it's like they took composite images of the actors and just moved the backgrounds behind them, and because it's like 1 second clips after each other, like people don't notice, like in film editing, it's just so fucking stupid. Like just be better. Thing. Like this movie is like my call to Hollywood to just be better. Be this movie. You don't need a huge budget, and it's fucking,
it's amazing.
It's better.
It's outstanding. And you brought it up before that this movie basically, I mean, kind of just takes place in one building. It's one setting. Mm-hmm. And obviously, like, that's not totally true because they're jumping through different multiverses, and they have these little sort of, like, side, I don't know, tangents sort of thing, where you're in another universe, obviously, you're in another setting or whatever. But the entire thing, like you said, took place in the IRS building, which I thought was just outstanding. I love when a movie kind of, like, stays, I don't know how to say it, like, boxed in like that, I guess.
Bottle, yeah. In TV, I believe it's called a bottle episode, where they will do a whole episode of a TV show in, like, in one room, or, like, in one, like, setting, basically. And yeah, you don't need, and it's a fucking IRS building. It's, like, something so, I'm sure that space was, like, not crazy to rent. And it goes the same with Swiss Army Man. It's like 2 guys in the woods that they shot in like fucking California. I know this movie they also shot in like fucking like some Californian just like town, very mundane. But I know Swiss Army Man originally it was going to be the 2 Daniels, and they were like, if nobody was going to give us money, we were just going to make it with the 2 of us with some cameras in the woods, and we were just going to be those 2 guys, and that's what we were going to do. And that's, I mean, obviously they had some considerable success as a independent film with Swiss Army Man, so they got a little bit more budget and stuff for this one, but they also were just like, yeah, we're just like writing this thing in the most pure form that we want to do it, and if people like it, then great, and if they don't, then that's, and like, I don't know, I think movies need to stop appealing towards like, oh, we need to make $1 trillion, because like, those aren't good movies.
Yeah, you're not making movies for the right reason if you're just trying to make trillions and trillions of dollars. But yeah, no, this movie was visually stunning.
And it's smart little things like, oh, somebody gets punched and then their head turns into confetti.
Right.
And like, that's so stupid. And I'm sure it was like not that hard to do in post. And it was just fun and interesting. And everything was visually so fun and so interesting. All the fight sequences, all the costumes. Oh my god, can we talk about fucking Jobu Tabaki's fucking outfit? What did you call it? The JoJo Siwa-fication?
Yeah, her. It's like, there's this big final fight, basically, and like Jobu Tupaki has got like everyone in the universe sort of like on her side now against Evelyn and all this shit, and it's so fun to see because Evelyn's like starts like fighting sort of like I guess she said the way that Jobu would be fighting, but like she also kind of like flipped it on its head and like did it with kindness, I guess. You know what I mean? And all that shit. I don't know how to put it. But like you said, like all the fun little things, like instead of like going and I don't know, like the confetti and all that shit. I'm on like such a tangent. I feel like I've got so many thoughts that I can't just consolidate because I only saw this movie once, and I feel like I need to see it like another like 3 times to be able to speak about it articulately.
Yeah, no, exactly. As soon as we were like, oh, let's do this, I'm like, I need to go see it again. Like literally, I need to go see it again because I will not like. It was crazy. But her costumes are, like, frequently changing throughout these fight scenes. And it's, like, 2, like, Build-A-Bear teddy bears on each arm of a hoodie. And her bangs spell out Jobu across her forehead. And, like, her eye makeup increasingly gets, like, more, like, glittery and fucking crazy. And just, I think throughout... Because... At first, it's like, it's just Joy, and she's just a person. And then it's like, now she's in a golf outfit. Now she's in a salsa dancing outfit. And then it, like, ramps up towards the end where she, like, literally looks like a clown.
Yeah.
Like a crazy clown person. Just, I love the costuming. I think it's so interesting. Also, whoever did the hair and makeup on this, I think deserves
amazing
all the fucking awards. Her, like, there are tight close-up shots of her face, and her makeup looks fucking stunning. Like, pearl appliques around her eyes.
That shit was beautiful.
And her hair just, like, changes so drastically every time, and it's just awesome. I don't know. They did a really good job portraying, like, you knew what universe you were in, just based on, like, you didn't even need any of the setting, just what, especially with Evelyn, too, like, what, like, she looked like her costume, her hair, and her mannerisms. You could tell, like, oh, now this is the movie star Evelyn. Oh, now this is the... You know, the chef Evelyn, the strong pinky Evelyn, the hot dog Evelyn.
Yeah, no. Can we talk about the everything bagel really quick? Just because...
Oh my god, I love it. That's the big reveal. The big reveal in this movie is that Jobu Tobaki is going through all these universes trying to destroy everything, basically, because she, like, made a black hole.
She said,
that is a
I was
bagel.
bored one day, and I decided to put everything on this bagel. Every universe. And it collapsed in on itself.
Everything.
And it's just a fucking everything bagel.
If that's not so, like, this specific genre of filmmaking, I don't know what is. Like, what is the heaviest thing, and how can we make it funny? Like, oh, I compiled every failure I've ever had, and I put it into one thing so that I could reflect on my existential being. And it's a fucking bagel. Like, it's so funny.
Genius. It's genius filmmaking. That's the only way I can describe it.
Basically, her whole thing is that she wants to jump into this bagel to kind of end it all, to be like, I have to live this life where I'm constantly... Because Jobu's whole thing is that in her universe, they taught her to verse jump so... like, early and so intensely that all of the universe is kind of fragmented, so she experiences every universe at the same time, which is why she's able to sort of, like, switch so quickly. Like, you know, she can be holding a broom, and now she's like, oh, now I'm in the universe where I'm holding a knife, and the broom's now a knife. Whereas, you know, people like Evelyn from the Alphaverse, they have to kind of take those extra steps in between to get there.
She's got the shortcut for it, basically.
Yeah, but Jobu's whole thing is she's like, it is so immensely exhausting and, like, detrimental to my mental well-being to be, like, constantly being every version of myself at the same time. What is the point of anything? And so she's like, I want to jump into this bagel. And then Evelyn's whole thing is, like, you're my daughter and I love you. And then the moment that got me the second time around is when Waymond is like, you need to choose kindness. Like, if you're gonna fight people, you need to, like, choose kindness, and that's how you will show them that like, this is the right thing to do. And oh my god, I was like, this is... like, making me so emotional, because it's so true. We just need to be, I think he said, like, we just need to be kind to each other, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm crying in the fucking movie tavern with my, like, Long Island iced tea fucking chugged. I went to one of those movie theaters, so this is gonna be a little side tangent, but I went to one of those movie theaters where you can order the food to your seat, which I don't believe in, because... first of all, it's a little overpriced, but also I just feel so bad for the people who work there, because, like, you just see some 16-year-old carrying a thing of, like, scalding hot buffalo chicken dip, and they say, they have on the ticket that it should be going to seat G4, and they walk and nobody's sitting there, and then you just see them, like, sigh. Like, I'm sure it's such an imperfect system. I feel so bad. Shouts out to anyone who, like, works in the service industry in general, but also those movie theaters. It just seems like
my friend
hassle.
Eli, who he is actually one of the first people that, like, won one of our little giveaways on this podcast, actually works at a movie theater like that. And while Well, it is sometimes a cool job. I know it is extremely stressful, especially during, like, big opening weekends and shit like that.
We're like, why does every single person want fucking nachos? Like,
Get your fucking popcorn.
But so I like it because they have the drinks are obviously way overpriced, but I like to get like a drink at the movie, especially this movie's 2 hours and 20 minutes long. We always preach, we're like, movies should never be longer than 90 minutes. No, this movie needed to be this length and it was fucking perfect. I was never tired during it. This is the example of how you can have a movie that is well over 2 hours long, that is good and entertaining and engaging. Like, I don't want people to get it twisted that we think every movie should be a fucking Disney Channel original 90-minute, like, hot take. It's just, in general, I think a lot of movies don't utilize the time they're given, and I think this movie maximizes every single moment. I wouldn't cut anything.
Nothing.
Like, if they're like, you need to take 20 minutes off of this movie, I'd have a really hard time, like, cutting down. And I know the first draft of this script was like 4 hours long. I mean, like most movies, but they had to cut like an insane amount of stuff, which is so funny because somebody asked them, they were like, the stuff in this movie is fucking wild. What got cut? They're like, what is the stuff that's even weirder than this that they were like, what did the production company say no to? And they were like, there's a whole universe where everyone is different shapes of noodles. And they were like, everyone is like different shapes of spaghetti. And like the spaghetti is having an existential crisis that his parents are noodles and he's a spaghetti. And I was like, yeah, okay, like, all right.
I would, oh my God, they called release the 4-hour cut.
Right? They called it Spaghetti Baby Noodle Boy or something. They kept being like, yeah, that's the one thing we're really bummed that the spaghetti universe got cut.
That's amazing. No, but yeah.
I saw this in one of those not jank, but like, one of those theaters where people can get food delivered to their seats, and like it has the big comfy seats and the little trays and stuff. And it's like somebody near us ordered something that just smelled like fry oil, which is like just generally part of the experience, but also it's spring break for a lot of like high schools right now, so the theater was pretty crowded with like, high school age kids, and some group of kids in the back just kept like yelling things like during, like, while the movie was playing. They'd be like, Evelyn dies, or like things like just like really being very obnoxious. And the people who sat, I couldn't really hear them, but the people who sat on the opposite side of us next to Henry, like, he's like, oh yeah, they talked through the whole thing, they kept being like, this movie's really weird, huh? Or like, I don't really get it. But afterwards, Henry was like, no, this added to the experience. He's like, usually I hate it. This only made this movie better because it was like, everything was happening on the screen and it transcended into our universe, that all the people around us were also just fucking talking and just like contributing to the madness. He's like, it's the only time people talking in a theater has kind of worked. And I was like, all right, okay, works for you, did not work for me, but he was like, yeah, I felt like, that we were like part of the film, and I was like, okay, maybe you just had a little one too many $14 cocktails, but
yeah, no, I had the exact opposite experience. There's 4 of us in the theater max, and it was very like like you saw everyone walking in, and I'm like, oh yeah, we are all the same right now. This is the highlight of our week. We've taken our one day off and we're going to the movies. But yeah, no, I had to pee the entire time. Like you were talking about, it's like a 2 hour and 30-minute movie. I refused to move from my seat because this is a movie that you can't miss a single moment. Batman,
you missed a second.
Movie I saw in the theaters was Batman. I could have gotten up 200 times, gone to pee, been fine. This? No, my eyes weren't moving.
Nary a second. I have to say, when I saw this at South by, obviously every seat was taken, it was totally packed. But the thing that fucking pissed me off was when there was the dupe fake ending, where basically they start rolling the credits. About 3/4 of the way through the film, they like fake roll the credits, and then they pan out to show that they're actually in the universe where Evelyn's a movie star and they're seeing a movie, and it's like everyone in the theater started clapping, and I was like, if you think this is the end of the movie, you're fucking stupid. Like all of the people at the premiere of this movie genuinely think that this is for even a second you thought that this was truly the end.
You shouldn't be here.
Or you thought that it was the end. Yeah, long enough to start clapping. I'm like, you're in the same room as Jamie Lee Curtis and Michelle Yeoh and the directors of this movie, and you're clapping right now like you think it's the end. Like, I'm like, I was genuinely pissed.
I don't blame
you.
What
the fuck?
Oh my goodness. I'd be aggravated as hell. I feel like this movie like sets up so well too. Like, it's hard to not get this movie. It's interesting that everyone in the next to Henry in the theater was sitting there saying, I don't get it. Because I think that this movie does a really, really great way of explaining the multiverse and everything like that. Which, like, mind you, now, like, I feel like there's so much fucking shit about, like, multiverses and all, like, Tenet and everything. Man, I didn't see Tenet. Maybe I'm fucking off, but, like, same sort of idea. Like, Tenet and the new Spider-Man and the new fucking Doctor Strange, which the trailer played before I saw this, and everything like that. And, like, the multiverse is, like, a hot thing right now, but, like, this is the only version that I think I genuinely could give a shit about. And they did such a good job of making it, like, not confusing. It was so well explained without, like, having to, like, bash you over the fucking head like an idiot.
I loved the world building that went into this. Like, the thought process behind... So, like, I read a lot of, like, sci-fi and fantasy, but... Well, not a lot, but, like, I'm genuinely, when I read for pleasure, I like fantasy novels a lot, and I like sci-fi, but I love a book or a story, just in general, where they go into the depths of explaining, like, the magic system that's used, or, like, whatever, sort of. And I love that this movie took the time to be like, this is verse jumping 101. Here's the process. And they made it so silly and stupid. They're like, yeah, in order to algorithmically connect the universes, you have to do a stupid, silly action. And then you can tap into the mind of the person. And I'm like, yes, it was so basic. It did not need to be any more complex than that. And I love that they took a moment to explain it. They took a moment to make a joke out of it. Yeah. And it was consistent and it was understandable and it was just smart. It was just a smart way to do it. And I totally agree when you're gonna do the whole, like, fragmenting multiversal, universal concepts of, like, it can get kind of muddy. And this movie's like, no, it's gonna be a joke. It's gonna be a fucking joke, and it's gonna be stupid, and it's gonna be clean, cut, simple, and this is, like I said, this movie's just such an example for every movie that wants to try to do something like this. Like, Marvel should just fucking stop. Stop making movies. This movie did everything you tried to do, and it did it better for less money, but also being inclusive and deep and emotional. It's just, I'm pissed. This like, if anything, now I'm just pissed. I'm pissed that this movie is gonna just, like, probably about break even in the box office and be some sort of, like, cult classic A24 thing, and we're gonna get 87 other movies with Benedict Cumberbatch being fucking Doctor Whoever with buildings upside down.
Like, this is genuinely, like I said, like, at the beginning of this, one of, if not the best movie I've seen in an extremely long time, and also one of the most creative movies I've probably ever seen, honestly. Which maybe I'm just not watching enough fucking movies, but, like, you know how it's, like, there's only, like, 32 different plots that a movie can have or something like that? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I believe it, though. It's
like, there's, like, a whole list of them or something. I forget who made it, but it's, like, genuinely, like, a whole thing or whatever. And I was sitting there, I was, like, obviously, like, I could see, like, it fits into, like, different things, but, like, I don't know, man. It was just, this movie genuinely just blew me away. I can't say anything more about it.
Alright, back at it again with another chocolate or vanilla, an interim segment game that we play here on the podcast. It's hosted by my lovely mother, Jen, who has joined us. Jen, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
I'm just ducky.
Outstanding, as always.
And Jen is the host. She just asks us two things, and we just say which one we like better. Those are the rules, and usually there's a theme. Is there a theme this week?
There is a theme. There's a theme. Just because we've been talking about Swiss Army Man, I did people named Daniel versus people named Paul.
Oh, I love that. So, to give a little context, originally we were going to cover Swiss Army Man this week, and then we were like, no, let's do a new movie, because some of y'all were like, y'all should do more new movies, and we were like, okay, then we're going to do Swiss Army Man, and then we were like, oh, just kidding, everything everywhere all at once, but then those are directed by the same guys, and it just felt like too similar, so then we switched at the last minute, and I didn't give Jen a heads up. I'm a bad boss. Am I your boss? But anyways, this is Swiss Army Man theme, but it's still relevant because directed by the same guy, and it's never a bad time to talk about Paul Dano, in my opinion. So.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yes.
Always.
Yeah. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Vanilla.
Chocolate. First one, Daniel Radcliffe or Paul Dano?
Paul Dano. Every day, Paul Dano. I am obsessed. All you girlies out there on TikTok who have been thirsting about Paul Dano after the Batman movie, first of all, go see a therapist. And second of all, I've been the conductor of the Paul Dano train for years and years now. So get the fuck on, toot toot. You know, he is in movies. He's only in movies that are good, and he's good in everything. And I might I'm a little hesitant to say it, but I will say it. I think he is my favorite actor ever.
Wow, that's a huge statement.
That's
I
bold.
love Paul Dano.
I also love Paul Dano, so I will pick him for this, even though Daniel Radcliffe's performance in Swiss Army Man is probably my favorite that he's ever given, so...
It's his favorite he's ever given. He said, he's like, this is the best movie I've ever been in. It's the best, like acting I've ever done, is being a corpse.
It's just remarkable.
I'll go with you guys, and I'll take Paul Dano. Daniel Kaluuya or Paul Rudd?
I'm gonna have to go with Daniel Kaluuya, just as far as, like, quality of movies. Paul Rudd is, like, he's great, but he's always that guy, and he also is in Marvel movies, which, Daniel Kaluuya is in Marvel movies too, though, so I guess I can't really factor that in. But recently I read something that, like, Daniel Kaluuya is, like, in a cult or something. I'm gonna have to fact check my sources on this one, but there's something about, like, that he, like, wears all white and is part of some, like, not Scientology, but, like, some other, like, Hollywood cult thing. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but...
Ooh, scary. I'm also gonna have to pick Daniel Kaluuya, though, because, I don't know. I just don't, Paul Rudd just doesn't do it for me. You know what I mean? He's either someone's dad or he's Ant-Man. And that's all, that's it.
What? He's not your stepbrother that you want to fuck? In Clueless?
Can't say he is, not for me personally. But that's just me.
Jen's face when I said that. Sorry, did I cross a line? Sorry.
I was gonna pick Paul Rudd because I think he's really funny, but now I think you guys have made me not think that anymore. But I
you
guess
can say whatever you want.
I'll take Paul Rudd.
Speak your truth.
Next one is Daniel DeVito versus Paul Giamatti.
Oh, Danny DeVito. Paul Giamatti is also a treasure and a legend, but I recently have been referring to, so my brother-in-law is a middle school English teacher, and he, like, before they went on spring break, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna show them a movie, like, what should I show them? And I was like, you should show them the directorial debut of Danny DeVito, Matilda, because I'm like, that's a perfect movie for, like, middle school age kids, as far as, like, they've all read it, right, and it's literary, and I was like... It's like directorial debut of Danny DeVito, Matilda, because that's the full title of the film, as you should say it.
Did he choose that after you recommended it?
Yeah, he did. He showed it to them. He said was
it a hit? Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, he said it was a smash hit with the kids.
Yeah,
nice.
And it's also a smash hit with me, so I'm gonna choose Danny DeVito.
Same thing. I think Danny DeVito is really funny. Next one is historical figures Daniel Boone versus Paul Revere.
Who's Daniel Boone?
He was like a frontiersman in like Tennessee, like.
Oh, the only Boone I know is the Boone in Lost, who also wants to fuck his stepsister. So what's the theme going on
that
here?
Is not the theme today.
So we're gonna say no to that, and I'm gonna pick Paul Revere because I feel like, did you have to memorize that poem? Because I did. Like, one if by land, two if by sea. I'm Paul Revere. I'm on a horse. That one?
I don't think that's
no
the exact lines that you were supposed to memorize.
Like, I know what you're talking about, but I didn't have to memorize it. But yeah, I'll go for Paul Revere. I mean, local Massachusetts legend. So.
Yeah, same. I'll go with Paul Revere. Next one is Danny Elfman or Paul Simon.
Oh.
Danny Elfman. Every time he pops up on a film, he goes crazy with that shit. He puts it all in every time. Every time he has to score a film, it is chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Also, Oingo Boingo, I fucking love that man.
It's gotta be Danny Elfman. Come on. Anyone who listens to this podcast knows it's Danny Elfman.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna say Danny Elfman. Next one is Danny Glover or Paul McCartney.
Oh!
I'll say, I know Emily's gonna say Paul McCartney, I feel, so I'm gonna say Danny Glover, just to offset.
Yes, I am gonna go with Paul McCartney. I'm a little Beatles whore. Fun fact, though, his first name actually isn't Paul, it's James. Paul is his middle name.
Oh.
A little bit of trivia for everyone out there.
Thank you for the Beatles facts. I love it.
And John was like, I'm already a John, and there's only room for one J name in this crew,
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, no. Basically.
I, too, will take Sir Paul McCartney. Or Sir James Paul McCartney. Dan Aykroyd or Paul Rubens, so Pee-wee from Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Okay, say that again. Who is Dan Rubens?
Dan Aykroyd is the guy from the Blues Brothers. The original Blues Brothers, Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
Yeah. And Paul Rubens is the guy from Pee-wee's Playhouse. Pee-wee Herman.
Yeah, okay. I guess I'm not, like, entirely super familiar with either of these pieces of media, but I'll say Pee-wee Herman.
I'll go for Dan Aykroyd, because I do like the Blues Brothers.
Same. I'm going to take Dan Aykroyd. Next one is Danny McBride or Paul Lieberstein, who plays Toby on The Office.
Danny McBride, as of late, has been my personal comedy god. Henry and I just finished watching The Righteous Gemstones, which he is in and writes on, and it's like one of the most brilliant fucking comedic TV shows I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm so upset that I'm done watching it. I think a new season's coming out soon, and I cannot wait for it. Best show I've watched in a good long while. It's on HBO, if anyone out there. It's about, like, a corrupt religious family who, like, runs a mega church. It's so funny.
Give me my options again, and then also tell me who the first man is.
Danny McBride is an actor, and he's been on, I'm trying to think, like, The Wedding Singer, and you'd know him if you saw him.
I know, I'm looking him up right now. And who was my second pick?
And the other guy's the guy who plays Toby on The Office.
The Office just does absolutely nothing for me. And I can see right now that Danny McBride was in or wrote for Pineapple Express and, like, This Is the End and shit like that. So I guess I'll go for Danny McBride.
Yeah, same. I'll take Danny McBride. I think he's really funny. Although I like The Office, but again, I think that might be an age thing, right? People my age like The Office.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, people our age likes The Office as well, though. It's just, I don't know.
Next one is Daniel Craig or Paul Del Vecchio, so that's Pauly D from Jersey Shore.
Oh my god.
This is no question. No question I'm picking Pauly D from the Jersey Shore.
Oh, this is tough. This is really tough. I really enjoy Daniel Craig as an actor. And I just wish I was him, because he's married to Rachel Weisz.
Rachel Weisz.
If I could join that throuple, that's all I'd ever need. But I am gonna have to choose Pauly D. As much as I love Daniel Craig, there's just something about him.
Okay, to me and for me, Daniel Craig is an actor playing James Bond, which is impressive. Mm-hmm. Pauly D is just himself. He got famous just being that way.
Just being a guy.
Yeah, he's just being some guy, and I have to respect it.
And because of the massive amounts of gel in his hair.
I think he's kept that haircut still. That's still the thing he does. It's insane.
I'll go with you guys, and we'll have Pauly D for the sweep. Next one is Daniel Stern, who's the actor who's in Home Alone, or Paul Gleason, who was the teacher in The Breakfast Club that ran the detention.
Okay, well, I fucking hate The Breakfast Club. I literally hate that movie. Call me out. This might be the first time I've ever mentioned it on the pod, but I literally fucking can't stand The Breakfast Club. I think it's a dog shit piece of fucking cinema, and I don't like it. So I'll pick the guy from Home Alone. I don't even know if it's not Macaulay Culkin, I don't know who it is, or the mom, but I don't know who you're talking about, but I picked the Home Alone guy because fuck The Breakfast Club.
I'll go for the Breakfast Club guy because I don't viscerally hate the movie.
I think it was like groundbreaking. You're not.
To put it into perspective, I saw the episode of Victorious that was parodying The Breakfast Club before I saw The Breakfast Club, so no.
All right, I will take the Breakfast Club teacher. And last one is a shout out to the girls, Danielle Panabaker or Paula Abdul.
Danielle Panabaker, like sister of Kay Panabaker of like Disney Hood Child fame.
Yep.
And Paula Abdul. Okay. these are really the most famous Danielles and Paulas you could come across. I guess I'll go with Danielle Panabaker. Was she in Sky High, or was that her sister? They look so similar. I'll go with the Panabaker sisters. I don't know. They were in that show, like Confessions of a Shopaholic or something? No, that was Lindsay Lohan.
I guess I'll just pick Paula Abdul. I don't have any reason at all, but I don't have any reason to pick the others one either, so I'm just gonna pull the trigger and say Paula. Outstanding.
And as a fun fact, so the directors of Swiss Army Man, they go by a joint title of Daniels because that's both of their first name is Daniel. So they go by Daniels. And so Paul Daniel Radcliffe. So the two stars of their movie both have Dan in their name. So they're two Daniels directing a movie starring a Daniel Radcliffe and a Paul Dano. Isn't that crazy? No, you guys aren't as wowed by that as I am? Okay.
I just love that you picked up on that.
I just really like that for them. They know their brand.
Fair enough. They got it. I like that they go by joint Daniels.
Yeah, Daniels. But anyways, thank you, Jen. Although I didn't inform you on the switch in time, this was still topical and relevant as always, and we do love celebrities, I guess. So as always, we love you, God bless, and thank you for your service. Do we want to get a little bit into our regularly scheduled programming regarding, because I do have some thoughts, because it's tough. Do we want to play Fuck, Marry, Kill with like the main three being Waymond, Evelyn, and Joy, but then do we want to get like which universe, like, because you said you don't have a universe that's a favorite.
I definitely
but
have.
Like, I don't want to say fuck, marry, kill with the universes, but maybe like which universe you want to insert yourself into or something. I don't know. It's just there's so much to work with here because every character has like 50 iterations of themselves that you get to experience. So
I guess let's go for like the baseline 3 for like first. All right, or find me. Okay.
Yes, because I think I'm gonna marry
so
Waymond because he's so good. Literally husband material. Even like Alpha Waymond is a whole other can of worms to unpack because like yes, I would die for that man after he does that fucking fanny pack moment. I was like, I'm kind of hot and heavy right now. Like, okay. Did you know that that's fucking Short Round
this is like
from Indiana Jones?
This was the first thing he's done in like 20 years, and he was amazing. Absolutely outstanding.
Insane. And he was what, like Data and the Goonies?
I think so.
He did like 2 things in the 80s and has not done anything since, and he was fucking brilliant. He was fucking brilliant. It's every performance in this is so good, but I think second to Michelle Yeoh is him in this, because the ability to play every iteration of every character so like profoundly and interestingly, like I felt like I got like certain levels of depth within every version of Evelyn we saw, with every version of Waymond we saw, and also Jobu was kind of just like her own situation, but also switching between Joy and being Jobu. Like, I think if you can play more than one character so impressively, like, I cannot think of a better, like, acting exercise, right? If you're teaching people how to act, you're like, oh, you're gonna be in a movie where you have to play 100 different versions of the same person. Like, that's fucking crazy. But I guess for Fuck, Marry, Kill, we could just do, I'm gonna marry Waymond, I'm gonna fuck Joy, and I'm gonna kill Evelyn. That's kind of bad, but...
No, I get it. Because I think I'd do the same. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one.
It's tough because this is a movie where it's like, we're gonna put everyone's deepest flaws at the forefront of every conversation. So it's like, oh, like, why is Evelyn flawed as a character? Let's talk about it. Why is Joy flawed as a character? Why is Wayne... The fact that this whole movie is, like, kind of centered around the fact that he's gonna ask her for a divorce, that made me so sad. Because I'm like, damn. I'm like, is there no hope? But, like, also, I don't know. She, interestingly, when they were writing this, they were originally going to make the main character a man, and then they switched it eventually, because I think they wrote this movie over the course of, like, many
I
years.
would think. It's brilliant.
But, yeah. But at one point, one of the Daniels was like, oh, I think I want to kind of make this character have sort of like undiagnosed ADD. Like, where they like Evelyn kind of has a hard time paying attention during conversations, or like this whole multiversal thing that's happening to her is kind of a representation of like what it feels like to have ADD or like ADHD, to kind of be like, oh, like a million things are happening at once and you're expected to pay attention to what's happening in front of you, where you have 87 other things pulling you in different directions. And he was like, yeah, and that was honestly the way that I realized that I had undiagnosed ADD.
Oh my god.
So I was writing this character, and I was like, oh, I'm writing about myself, and I should go to therapy. so he's like, yeah, it's just like an interesting, but I think that this is a great, I mean, I personally haven't struggled with that, but from the description that I've been told, that seems like a pretty accurate representation of what it's like to like constantly feeling like you can't focus on the thing you're supposed to be focused on, which is so Evelyn's character. Constantly when they're like, you need to do your taxes, and she's like, I gotta save the universe. Like, what do you mean I gotta do my taxes?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? But yeah, it's kind of hard, like, who you want to marry, because it's like, all these people are fucked, but also they're lovely. And then I guess I'm like, I want to be a rock. I'm like, can I be in a universe where we get to be rocks? I want to be a rock with googly eyes and just sit and do nothing.
Exactly. That was, like I said, that for some reason, that whole scene, because it was just a moment of peace in the whole movie, you know what I mean? Which obviously it was needed, and that's like the whole thing. It was like, Joy was like, oh, this is the one place I can like sit and just be and like have a moment to myself, sort of thing. And that movie definitely needed it. And it was just so beautiful. I'm like, I totally agree with you. I'm like, I want that.
I want to be a rock. What the heck? I think that the fun, so I have a hard time deciding if the funniest universe is the hot dog finger one, just because it's absurd.
I love it.
It's just like absurd that they have hot dog fingers and they live in this universe where you have to like do this ritualistic dance to like, instead of sex, I guess, or just something, like, I don't, and they're like sucking each other's fingers and like mustard is coming out. It's like, but like everything is like beautifully color graded in this nice like pastel pink color, and they have all these like pictures of cats on their walls, but they just like have hot dog fingers. I think A24 is selling merch of like gloves that are the hot dog fingers that you can buy, which I'm like, I don't know why anyone would buy those, but like that's just like very silly and stupid.
Because
and I love it.
A24 now is listening to this, and next month we're gonna see those.
Oh my god. If A24 wants to be an official sponsor of the pod, I will run a 2-minute scripted ad segment for you if you send me the hot dog finger merch gloves as compensation. Just throwing that out there. But I've heard time between the hot dog universe and the Rakakuni one as to like which one like tickles me the most, because she's a hibachi when she used her hibachi chef skills to fight in real life, that is the most skillful like fight choreography I've ever seen, because like she spins the egg on the knife, and then in real life she's spinning something else on a knife to use as like a launchable cannon grenade. Like that, those like side by side cinematic parallel like switching between the two universes, I think was the most seamless and gratifying to watch, between like her cooking fried rice and then her like beating the shit out of some guys who had to jump onto butt plugs to verse jump. We can't even get into that.
Yeah.
Like, we can't even get into the butt plug joke.
It was a lot, but it was welcome.
But yeah, the Rakakuni universe just like fucking cracks me up, and the hot dog universe cracks me up. So I don't know which one I'd rather be in as far as like being silly.
Yeah. I definitely want to be in the hot dog universe. There's no fucking question. Specifically, I'd like to be in a lesbian relationship with Jamie Lee Curtis and our hot dog fingers. I'd love for her to serenade me on the piano, just
with her toes.
So that's my choice, but that's just me.
And it's also so smart. Each universe served a different purpose to convey something different to us about her as a person. Like the movie star universe, where they literally used clips of her at the Crazy Rich Asians premiere. Did you catch that?
No.
There's a certain universe where Evelyn is a movie star who she like learns kung fu, and then she becomes like a fight action movie star. And there was one where they like flash through her like just like being famous, and they used a bunch of clips of her. You can see in the background, it says like, you get like the bottom corner of like a Crazy Rich Asians poster or something. They just used a ton of like promo material, which I don't know if they got the rights to that or if they just, like, used such short clips it didn't really matter. But
That's wild.
yeah, I just thought that was really funny. Yeah, like, that universe is like, oh, we're gonna extrapolate on her, like, feeling like her marriage is her downfall. I also love that the Evelyn we get is the Evelyn that supposedly is in the worst universe. I don't know if you've ever seen Community. There's this great episode of Community, which if I could pick an episode of a TV show to follow up with rather than a movie, I would say, I didn't write it down, which I probably should have, a certain episode of Community where they are all the characters, they order a pizza and they roll a dice to see who has to go down and get the pizza from the front door. And every time they go through each situation in which the dice lands on a different person and, like, what universe branches from each person having to go get the pizza. It's very this film. But there's one that's, like, it's like the evil time. It's called The Worst Timeline, they call it. And it's like, everyone has a goatee, which I think is a Star Trek reference, like, to Evil Spock or whatever. Like, everyone has a goatee in, like, The Worst Timeline. But I love that the Evelyn that's our protagonist is, like, quote-unquote, like, the worst Evelyn. They're like, yeah, you made every wrong decision every time. You're the worst version of yourself. Like, and you're gonna have to be the one to write it because, like, literally you're so trash at everything that this is the only thing you can do. I'm like, honestly, am I the worst version of myself?
Oh my God.
Like,
this movie had me getting existential in the theater.
I was gonna say, if you could see a map of, like, fragmented of, like, what your life could have been if you had made different decisions, would you want to see it? Because I definitely don't. I definitely do not.
I think it would ruin me. I don't think I could.
I love also the one where she's running too fast and she falls onto two, like, sticks and she gets blinded and becomes an opera singer.
Oh
that one is also so absurd to me. Her father's like, stop running so fast, and she gets blinded. I'm like, oh my God.
So what would you eat and drink with this movie?
So in real life the first time around I was at South by Southwest and I purposefully did not drink leading up to this because I was like, I need to be sober for this movie. I'm like, most other days I was there, I was trash, but I was like, I need to be sober for this film because I felt like I knew it was going to be a lot, and I was like, I need to be present. So I did not eat or drink anything during that watch, but then this time around I just had like a $27 overpriced cocktail from this movie theater, so nothing particularly interesting actually, but I know I had said to you before this, my two ideas for cocktails were to either drink a Long Island, because that's everything in a cocktail. It's like all the hard liquors. It's literally all of them, right? What is it? Tequila, rum, gin, vodka, triple sec, and Coke, and rum. Did I say rum? I don't know. Literally, it's everything. It's everything in a cocktail. So, Long Island, I think, could be welcome, but also maybe some form of, like, you know how when you make a margarita, you can either get salt or sugar on the rim? If you do, instead of salt, if you everything bagel seasoned, the rim of a cocktail glass, I honestly think that could be kind of fire. That could be good
with, like, a Bloody Mary.
That's true. Or some kind of margarita, maybe. Like a jalapeno margarita with a everything bagel.
I like that.
Glass rim. That's my... And then for food, I think bagel is just such the obvious. They have... the bagel is the most prevalent imagery in this whole film. And then also they have a really good scene where they talk about cream cheese.
Oh, true.
Where Alpha Waymond is like, oh, we don't have dairy on my home planet because we killed all the cows in the war. And he like chugs a thing of half and half. It's so fucking funny. That's what I would also say to anyone, go see it again. Because there are, like, so many Easter eggy things of, like, oh, a shot that starts on a bagel on a table that quickly, you know, focuses to whatever else is happening, like little things that are totally, like, referential to the big point, like, plot points of the movie, or like somebody's shadow looks like they have hot dog fingers, like, oh, like, you know, like little things that, like, reference the other universes. So definitely, I loved seeing it a second time. I will anyone in my life who hasn't seen it, I'm like, let's go, like, I'll go see it a third time, a fourth time, like. But those were my ideas. I guess basically you can make, like, a pizza bagel with an everything bagel would be, like, the like, fun little food way to go about doing that. I love a homemade pizza bagel, so that's my thought.
Yeah. See, as referenced as the bagel is, obviously I've spouted all of the love I have for the hot dog universe. So I'm gonna tell you
hot dog.
I'm gonna tell you to get, like, not just like a plain old hot dog, no ketchup and mustard shit. You're doing like a fucking loaded hot dog. You're putting the fucking ketchup, mustard, relish, onions, cheese, chili, whatever you want, whatever your shit, but you better have a ginormous, like, foot-long hot dog with as much as you can on it. And then to drink, personally, I had a kombucha. I've been on a kombucha wave lately, and that has also jumped into my my liquor of choice recently, or not liquor, but like alcohol of choice, because they make hard kombuchas, which are really good, and they're like 6% or something like that, and it doesn't even taste like alcohol. So I'm going to tell you to drink a hard kombucha, because I find them extremely refreshing, and just a fun choice. It's a fun movie. Have a fun. It doesn't taste
like alcohol. It just tastes like salad dressing.
It doesn't taste like vinegar, dude. No. I promise. Like the hard kombucha, you don't get like that like vinegary taste at all. It's like tea.
I'm iffy on kombucha.
I'm getting really into it. It's because like I like drink the pickle brine from like the jar like after I have pickles, so like obviously it's not that hard of a jump. I just like a little zest. What can I say?
I wish I could say the same. If they made, like, alcoholic soy sauce, maybe I'd be into that.
You did talk about, what is it? Having a beer that was, like, basically balsamic.
Oh, yeah, I had a beer once that literally tastes like balsamic vinegar. I loved it. But
I don't even know that I could tell you what to follow this up with, because this movie is so good.
Really, the only other, like, multiverse movie that I really, like, contend with is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is probably my favorite Spider-Man movie, and I love the Spider-Man movies, and it also just deals with, like, the multiverse concept in a way that's, like, not overwhelming and very fun and lighthearted, but also, like, it's, like, understandable, and, I don't know, it still doesn't distract from the plot of the film, so if you're in for another multiverse movie, but honestly, if you're not, that's totally understandable, because this movie is a lot. I do say you could watch Indiana Jones just to watch Ke Huy Quan be Short Round, just because I think that's fucking crazy that he didn't do any movies, like, really for fucking 20 years, and then just came back and fucking popped off as Waymond.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant performance.
Or you could watch, I think it was really interesting to watch Swiss Army Man before, so this could be your follow-up if you watch Swiss Army Man first and then watch this, because, like, to watch sort of the evolution of their filmmaking style is really interesting, and also to see, like, they had a budget to make a movie with 2 people in the woods, and now they have a budget to make a movie about 1 million universes, and just to see, like, sort of how they expanded upon that. And they're very similar films in style, but, like, obviously tell very different, interesting stories. I don't know. I love them both.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to tell you to just watch Swiss Army Man. I think you could definitely watch it before, but I think you could also definitely watch it after, because, yeah, like you said, it's interesting to see, like, their style evolve, but at the same time, this movie is definitely a little overwhelming, and that movie feels, like, a lot easier on the brain. You know what I mean? Like, you can put in the brain power to watch it and, like, I don't know, look at it deeper, but at the same time, you can just have a fun time watching it. So what would you rate this movie? Because I'm straight up, I want to
give it a 10. Like a 9.5 or a 10.
I think this is the first movie either of us have given a 10, and I'm sure, like, I'm a little biased because I've just seen it for the first time. But it's a 10 for me.
Yeah, I think I might be riding the high of it being, like, a really good movie that I got to see in person. And I definitely think I might have a little bit of bias because I got to see it, like, at the premiere. And I got to, like, talk to the directors. And I didn't get to meet the cast, but I got to see the... Like, I was in the same room as Jamie Lee Curtis. Insane. It was literally fucking crazy. I was in the same room as Michelle Yeoh. Like, it was literally... I was like, I'm gonna fucking throw up all over myself. But it was just a very cool experience, and I'm not I don't get to go to movie premieres usually. Like, it was a very, like, maybe once in a lifetime sort of opportunity, so it was very special. And it also certainly helped that the movie that I got to see was so fucking good. So yeah, I'm riding on, like, a 9.5 or a 10, but, like, maybe later in my life I'll settle to, like, a solid 8 or 9, but, like, this really is one of, it's fucking phenomenal. I have no complaints. I have no notes. And And that was it. Oh my god, that was our episode. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I hope everyone at home got a chance to go see it. If not, we totally just spoiled everything for you, but please go see it anyways, I guess. Bring your friends, support movies. It's important. I like this little thing we did because it's funny that it's like spring break and then this, like, those, they cannot be more different. Like, what the fuck, James Franco with fucking cornrows being like spring break, and then
Michelle Yeoh just being an absolute badass.
Michelle Yeoh with a googly eye on her forehead. It's
taking everything in my
fu.
body not to go online and just order a bag of googly eyes.
I used to have huge ones that were like probably the size of a human head, and I think I remember
this.
Yeah, it was like very quirky, but this movie definitely like touched home in that way where it's like, oh, I definitely put googly eyes on shit. I have earrings that are like little dangly googly eyes. It's just fun. But thank you everyone for tuning in. You're all so lovely and amazing and stunning and awesome, and we always appreciate when you DM us movie suggestions or chocolate or vanilla suggestions. If you have theme ideas, definitely send those our way. Just anything in general. Also month themes too. Some of you guys have sent really awesome like ideas for like what actor you'd like us to cover a whole month of, or like what, you know, production studio or director, or just any silly fun theme. Obviously we've bullshit it here on this podcast. But yeah, thank you to everyone who sends messages and listens. You guys are amazing. We love you. We appreciate you. And we will be continuing A24 April through the end of April. And and all of our social media is in the description below, as well as our merch. Would this be like a good for her movie? I don't know if I would necessarily... I don't want to get like flagged for copyright issues, but I do think like a little sticker or something of this movie might belong in our shop.
I think so.
Or something. As our first 10 out of 10 movie, we might need a little googly eye sticker or something. So
a rock with the googly eyes.
Maybe if I get some free time, I'll design a little A24 month sticker for our shop. That could be cute. But yeah, we love you all, and go eat a fucking bagel.